Hello and welcome to the ClickAlgo trading school for beginners. In this video we're going to explain a very basic robot for trading. It uses the simple moving average. It's one of the most basic of moving averages used for trading. It's a simple formula that's calculated by taking the average closing price of a stock over the last so many periods. So what we're going to do is have two SMA indicators that are built into the cTrader platform. And when they cross over, we're going to open or close a position. So I'll go through what I'm going to cover today is a robot that's pre-built. I'm going to do what's known as a code walkthrough. So I'm going to explain every part of the robot's code so you understand the logic and how the robot's been put together. And then we're going to go into running a backtest on the robot, showing you how to test it to make sure the logic is correct. And from this, in the future, you can use this strategy to actually, or this way of development to actually identify areas that the robot can be improved on for tweaking the code and adding extra logic. So I'm going to start off. Obviously, you can see on the screen there. We're going to show you the web page we've got. So if you've not seen this web page yet, we've covered areas which is introduction to the cTrader platform, Visual Studio. So all the development we're going to be doing is in Visual Studio 2015. And it goes into standards for writing code, risk management code overview, debugging your code. So again, we've covered the area of debugging. So if you are looking at this video, you can then work out how to debug it, which is very useful. And it's this one we've coming into now, is to how to write a simple moving average strategy with Visual Studio and C#. So I'll go ahead and actually go to I'll drag across here the pre-built code. What you'll do, you can download the source code from the website clickalgo.com if you go to the education section, and once you download the strategy, which is here, it's called ClickAlgo School SMA. You want to edit it in Visual Studio, so you just right-click your mouse, edit in Visual Studio. That should open up Visual Studio 2015. If it doesn't, also on the website there's a blog that shows you how to modify a file to allow you to use Visual Studio 2015 with cTrader or cAlgo. It's also on the web page that I showed you at the start. Okay. So when it starts up, like I said, instead of me writing the code out for you, which could make mistakes and go on forever, I'm going to it's pre-written code, and we're doing what's known as a code walkthrough, which is like a buddy system. You're looking over my shoulder, and I'm explaining the code to you how the thing works. So when you get the source code, you can watch the video again, and actually understand exactly what's going on. I put at the top here the different types of SMAs and what they're used for, like the 5 SMA, 10, 20, 50, and 200. And you can review it on the web also, and you can find out the optimal SMA values you want to use and all the rest of it. So we're using, I think, 5 and 20. I can't remember. I'll show you in a minute. So the first thing I've got here is I put everything into regions. Regions is a way of making your code a lot cleaner. I've covered this in previous videos, so I won't go through it again. So I've opened up the first region, which has got your user-defined parameters. So these are the parameters you see in cAlgo. If I just quickly go back to cAlgo, these are these parameters here. So you've got your instance name, lot size, the SMA 1 and 2 values, and calculate unbar, and I'll explain that again later as well. So I'll go back to here. So here we have instance name. This is just so you can have a unique name for that robot instance, so that you can run the same symbol but with different parameters. Lot size, we're using lot size instead of volumes. Then there's the data, then the actual indicator. So if I go back to cAlgo, and if I add the indicator, I'll get rid of the crosshairs. So if I add the indicator simple moving average, you'll see it's got two values here, source and period. So that's the only two parameters for that indicator, okay? If I go back to the code again. So we're doing two indicators, and each indicator has two parameters. So the parameters are the source and the period. So here we've named them source SMA1, source SMA2, and then period SMA1, period SMA2. So we've set the periods for the SMAs up here. You can specify the actual label value, what the label value is called, and we've set the default value. We're using 5 and 20. So when you create a new robot instance, it's always going to be the default value. Then you can have minimum and maximum values. You can put in there what you want. The on-bar close, I'll explain that in a minute. I'll go through that. That's the user-defined parameters. So indicator declarations. So this is just where you declare your indicators. So in this case, as you type private and press space, and it should come up, simple moving average. It should come up with all the different types of indicators there. The inbuilt cTrader ones are much easier to define than custom built indicators. So what I'm going to do is on another video I'm going to show you how to do custom indicators and how to reference custom indicators and how important that is, because that's quite tricky for some people because you've got to have the parameters in the right order, otherwise the thing will just crash. So I'll do this in a separate video. So these are inbuilt indicators into the cTrader or cAlgo platform. Okay, so I've just named them SMA1 and SMA2. cTrader events. Again, this has been covered. I put labels, I put descriptions above each method to help you understand what they do. So on start, this is called when the robot first starts. It's only called once. That's to initialize any variables or objects or anything you want to do. In our example, we're initializing the SMA1 and SMA2. So this is going to create a new simple moving average object with the source and the period's value that you set in your user-defined parameters. So whatever you set the source and the period down here, it will be used when you construct that indicator. Okay, so in this case we're doing different values. The period is going to be 5 and 20 for the SMA1 and SMA2. Okay, so that's on start. On tick, this method is called every time there's a price change in the symbol. So if the price doesn't change for 1 minute, that doesn't get called. If the price changes, it's very volatile. So the price changes 5 times in 1 second. It gets called 5 times. And on bar, again, is called at the close of every bar. So when a candle is formed or a bar candle is formed, this method is called. And it's useful. I'll go through when I do the back test. You'll see why you'd need to why you would use one over the other depending on your strategy. It's very important because sometimes, like I said, I'll show you later. On tick, the price will go above and below a certain value many times, and it will give you fake signals. It will just give you lots of the order will open and close, open and close. So the on bar would be more useful to be used in that type of strategy. So what we've got is a method that should probably be built in anyway to the API. I don't know. You need to calculate on bar. So you need a parameter to say only calculate on bar close. So only do your logic that you want to do to check for opening trades when the bar is formed. So on here we've just put in on the on tick if calculate on bar. So that means if it's true. So that's just the same as saying if it's true. Okay. Manage positions. This just calls a method. So the logic isn't in on tick. It just calls another method that actually manages your trade. So it's like calling another service to say manage my trades. And on bar again, if you say if not calculate on bar close, that's the same as saying if it's false, come out of that method, don't do it. Only actually run this. So what will happen here is if this is true, it will return out of this method. It won't go down to this line of code and execute an on tick. So if on bar calculate is true, if you set in your user defined parameters, if you set this to true, calculate on bar, yes, then it won't do the on tick. It will ignore it. It will come in, that will be true, it will just come straight back out. If it's on bar, if it's true, it will come down and execute this line of code. If it's false, it will just come out of this method. On stop, it's just for cleaning up any resources you've got or anything like that. We're not using it on this example. So I'll close that. I'll go to position management. So this is a little bit more complex. I would put more comments in this. So what this is saying is, if your SMA1, the result of that SMA1, the value, the last value is greater than SMA2. So if SMA1 crosses above SMA2, then it executes this block of logic here. Okay. And what I mean by that is, if I go back to the, so here I've put the I've added the SMSs to the chart, SMA, simple moving average 1s and 2s. So what it's saying there is, if I go to a history and just pick one, I need it on bar close. Hold on. That's doing that. I'll explain why it's doing that in a minute. It's because it's doing it on tick, and that's the whole reason I did that, was so to show you, to help you in your trading, so that you understand on tick can cause a lot of problems sometimes. So in this case, it's saying if the green line, which is the green line is SMA2. So if the green line, which is SMA2, goes, or if the blue line, sorry, which is SMA1, goes below SMA2, it opens a sell position, and vice versa. If the blue line goes above the green line, SMA1 goes above SMA2, it opens up a buy position. So in the code here, we've got, I'll put comments there as well to explain SMA1 is greater than SMA2. And then for a sell position, SMA1 is less than SMA2. I think I can show you again quickly. So again, if SMA1, which is the blue, goes below SMA2, which is the green, you can change the colors, opens a sell. If SMA1, which is the blue, goes above SMA2, which is the green, opens a buy. And the idea then, you can just see that the trend follows this. If the green line is above SMA2, it's a very bullish trend. If the blue goes below SMA, it's a bearish trend. You can see that if you go across most of these here. Look, you've got the blue going below the SMA2, it's a bearish trend. So the whole idea of this strategy, it's a very basic strategy, is to show you how this works really. So if you can just remember, I'll put the comments in there just to say that the SMA1 has gone above SMA2. Okay, so in this case, SMA1 has gone above SMA2, so it's a bullish trend. Because it's a bullish trend, you want to open a buy position, okay? But you don't want to open up multiple buy positions every time an on-bar is closed or an on-tick is closed. An on-bar is called. So if we go back to cTrader events, if you did it on bar, for example, every time a bar closes, you don't really want to be opening a new position. You only want one position open. So if I go back to the robot again, you can see there, I just pick one of these. You can see there, that's a bar, that's a bar, that's a bar. Each one of these is a candle closed. You don't want a position opening, closing, opening, closing, opening, closing, unless you really do. We're just saying open when it crosses, the SMA1 crosses below SMA2, open a sell position. When it crosses back, SMA1 goes above SMA2, we want to close it and we want to open a buy. So every time it crosses, it's going to close one position and open another. So that there's only one of the trade rules is there's only ever going to be one position open at any time. Okay. Again, if SMA1 is above SMA2, it's going to be a long position. If SMA1 is below SMA2, it's going to be a short position. So that's the whole logic of the strategy. Again, you can just check. You can see that one's crossed over there, but this one has been a bit delayed. Okay, because it's on bar. No, this one's not on bar. I'm not sure why that one done that. I'll have to check that in a minute. It could be because the price moved so fast and it's the only price you've got filled. I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to check on that. Or it could be just the way the backtesting works. We'll go through this a minute when we do the backtesting. I might have to do a separate video. I'm not sure because I want to really cover many areas on the backtesting just to show you little things that will affect your trading that you're probably not aware of. So what this does now, this comes here and it says, is position open by type? Okay, that calls a method that's pre-done. And you can use this for your strategies. It's a very useful one. So if I right click the mouse, go to definition, or just press F12 over it, it goes to this method here. It's under position management. Information, sorry. So in here, this returns a boolean, so it just returns true or false. What comes in as a parameter is the type, a buy or a sell. And it just says find all positions by this instance name. Okay, that's just to make sure it's a unique instance of that CBOT. The symbol that you're using, say euro dollar, and the type if it's a buy. So you're just going to say, is position open by type? If it's a buy, if there is a buy position open with that symbol and that unique ID, return true. And then if I do Control minus to go back, and then if it's true, sorry, if it's not, in this case, what it's saying is, if there is no buy position open, open a position. Okay. So if there is no buy position open, open a position. Open a position calls another method that actually just converts the lots to volumes and executes the market order. And in this case, it's actually executing the market order without a stop loss and take profit, because our trade is being managed, our risk is being managed by every time there's a crossover of the two SMAs, it closes a position and opens another one. So you don't have a stop loss and take profit, but if you want one, you can add one into this. But the whole idea of this strategy is just change every time the SMAs cross over. Okay, again, we've got down here close a position. So in this case, open position, the parameter that comes in is the type, is it a buy or a sell? So it gets used for both types of trade. You wouldn't want two methods, one for buy, one for sell. So you just use this. And again, with close position, you pass in the type, is it a buy or a sell? Close that position. First, in cTrader, you've got to find the position, you've got to find the object, and you pass the object as a parameter in the close position method, and it just closed that position. If I go back, so this logic here pretty much just says, if SMA1 has gone above SMA2, you want to open up a buy. You only want to open a buy if there's not a buy already open. So in this case, say there isn't a buy open, so it opens a buy position. The buy position is open. But irrelevant if there's a buy position open or not, you want to close the sell position because the trend has changed. The crossovers have occurred, and you want to close any sell position open. So as it goes through the cycle, it will just open a buy, close a sell, open a sell, close a buy, open a buy, and it will just keep doing it like this. The little bit of logic below is exactly the same, but in reverse for a sell position. So if SMA1 is less than SMA2, which is going bearish, you want to check if a sell position is open. If there's not a sell position open, you want to open a sell position. At the same time, you want to close any buy position. Okay, so that's the logic for managing positions. So it's pretty much just this piece of logic here. So you really want to try and put your logic in little areas. Later on, I'm going to do more advanced stuff, creating classes and object-oriented programming. So in this case, we want to keep things very simple. So this method here is just for managing positions. This region is for managing its position management. So you've got position open, position close. So anything to do with positions, we're putting in regions. It helps, and if you do very complex code, it'll help you a lot in keeping your code nice and neat and easy to maintain and enhance in the future. So you can find things. If you had, say, 100 regions, you would easily find what you're looking for and manage it. But you'd probably have many other classes, which I'll cover another time. So that's the robot. It's very simple. You've got your user-defined parameters at the top, which is your cbot parameters. You've got your indicator declarations. You just put them in one place. You can also have another one for private fields. You always put your private fields at the top. cTrader events. You have your cTrader events here. So everything to do with cTrader events that occur with the platform. Again, on start, every on tick, every price change, every time a bar is formed, and on stop. And there is a few more. Position management, everything to do with managing your positions. In this case, it's to check if a position is opened or closed. Just check the signals to say if we should open or close a position, and then to manage opening and closing the positions. And then we've got one at the bottom, position information, which is just anything to do with, give me all positions, give me this position. So anything to do with getting stuff you want to stick in one place there. It's just what's known as a template sort of. What it is, it's kind of a template you'll use. So what you want to do in the future is create a template that you reuse. Sorry about that. You want to create a template you want to reuse for other things. So in that case. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is go on to the actual robot back testing. So say you built the robot and you want to test it out. So we go back to cAlgo and we make sure it's built here. We just click build. Okay. Then we want to set the parameters. In our case, I'm using period as 5 and for SMA1, which is the blue line, and SMA2, which is the green line, I'm using 20. I'm just going to make the I'll get rid of that. I'm going to make SMA2 a bit thicker, just so that we can see it a bit more. And I'm going to change the color of SMA1 from blue because I don't think it's standing out enough. I'm going to change it to, I'll leave that color, but I'm going to change it to white. Is white? No. Blue. I'll just change it to blue. That purple would be a nice one. No, blue. Going back to blue. Okay, there you go. So one thing you need to know, because you'll get very confused about this, when you create the indicators in the robot, it doesn't put them on the chart for you. You have to add them manually. You have to go into here and you have to go to trend and add the simple moving average. Now, you'll probably make mistakes, because I've done it, where you'll change the values here and you think it doesn't correlate to the crossovers that occur in here. Oops, have I got 3 SMAs there? Yeah. I'll stick with the blue one, sorry. So you'll get confused with the crossovers, because if I change this value down here to 10, it doesn't change the SMA here. The SMA here is still 20. Yeah, it's still 20. And blue. Okay, it's got confused because I added the other one. So I'm going to delete these and just start again. Okay, so when you do the robot, there won't be any indicators on the screen. Okay, so you need to add them. I just put this back to 20. So you need to add them, but they have to be exactly the same values. And if you ever change these values, the periods, or even the source, from close to high, low, or open, you need to make sure that your indicators reflect those changes. Otherwise, you'll get confusion. You'll say, this shouldn't be opening at this time because your indicator values are wrong. So I'm going to go now to add SMA1. And it doesn't matter if it's SMA1 or anything. It's just what you put in there. So the periods I'm using is the same. I want them the same as SMA1. So I'm going to put 5. I'll leave it at that color for now. And then I'm going to add another simple moving average. And then this color I'm going to put as something bright and make it thicker. And in this case, it has to be 20. And again, if you don't have close, you need to make sure this is updated to it as well. Okay, so now we can test the robot. So what I do, I just set my template because I don't like the standard backlooking template. So I'll just run this. Just run a back test. Again, when you run your back test, make sure you click on here and you set your commission and any spread you're going to use, and if you want to use 1 minute bar or anything. The logic we're using, 1 minute bar, is fine. We're just checking that the logic is working correctly. So the first thing you want to do then with backtesting and your robot, sorry, when you're finished, you want to check that the logic is correct. And that's exactly what we're doing now. And there are a few things you'll notice here. Now, this is a good example actually. Okay, straight away here you say a crossover hasn't occurred, but what you'll probably, if you were running this as a forward test, the blue line probably did go below the green line, but when the candle had been formed, the actual line was redrawn above the green line. So you'll notice this in your back testing. You'll say, hold on, that doesn't make sense. That shouldn't have happened. But what happens is the lines do go below. It does trigger a buy or a sell. And that's probably occurred because it's not calculating on bar close. It's on tick. If I change this to yes, there's a good chance that that wouldn't have occurred. And if it does, again, it's just because it gets redrawn. It's because it got redrawn. That's just going to the next bar. Okay, so that's the first thing I do want to show you, is the fact that I didn't think this would happen actually, but it's good that it did happen, because it does. What does happen in your strategy is the price will go down and then back up during a bar formation, or very quickly. The actual line that's drawn here in this case will actually be redrawn to show that it's not occurred. But when you do a forward test, you'll see it happening. So run forward tests and you will see this logic occurring. There's so many little anomalies and little weird things that are going on that will confuse you, and I'll try and cover these. Okay, so I'll go to this one. So this is an example where the blue line crosses below the green line. So SMA1 is crossed below SMA2. It's opened a sell position. Okay, so the sell position then doesn't close until the crossover has occurred here in this bar, but on close it occurred a little bit late there. Again, I'm not sure if this is because of the back testing or whether this is quite accurate, that the actual bar close was there. Even though the crossover occurred there, the bar hadn't closed. So the actual closing of the position was there. If I go to this one, again it opened there. So the position, a buy position opened because it went above, and it didn't close until just here, which is on the close of the position. So they're not 100% accurate, but it depends on how accurate the actual back testing is. So you can just step through your logic and just have a look to make sure that it is correct. If I go to this one, it's another long one. Again, the SMA1 crossed up above SMA2. This is one I want to show you here, which is quite interesting. So if I go down to one here that did a lot, lost a lot. Okay, what's happened here? It's on bar close. If this was on tick, it's still. This is on bar close. So this bar closed here. So again, the SMA1 went below SMA2, opened up a short, a sell position. It didn't actually close until SMA1 went above SMA2. Now it doesn't close in this case until on bar close. The bar closed there, and then this bar opened and then it closed. If I change this to on tick and run this again, so I'll run this again on tick. I just want to show you what happens about prices being filled later on. So if I scroll down, is it that one? Got to try and find it now. Hopefully find it. Can't be far. It's there. Alright, it's the next one. Is it that one? Yeah, it's that one. Okay, so in this case, again, a short position was opened. Because you're doing on tick, the price went above, but it wouldn't get filled. So this is obviously a news release or something. The price went crazy. So in events like news releases, or where the price is very volatile and moves very fast, your order probably won't get filled until later on. You're not at the front of the queue. So in this case, it didn't get filled straight away. It got filled up here. So again, the on tick would have been useful for things like this. So what I probably do, so the trend probably could have just carried on going down. This could have carried on going down on a bearish trend. What I probably would do if this was a news release would have been using something like the news release manager and not trade during the news release. That way you won't get this loss here, which was £49, quite a large loss if you compared to all your other losses, which are very small. Again, yeah, so I would probably avoid something like that. So you can do little things like that to avoid large losses. So just doing this strategy on its own isn't enough. You need to then build on it and do other things. I mean, this is just a small strategy, but if you were using this for manual trading and as a say it's semi-automated, then it might be useful. Okay, so that's how to test it. I'm just trying to check if there's anything else I want to show you on here. Oh yeah, there is one other thing. Calculate on bar close. So when you get many small losses like this, if you have a look, this is very important actually what I'm showing you here. What's happening here is the SMAs are very close together. And because it's doing it on tick, the actual SMA1 and SMA2 are crossing each other repetitively, quite fast. Okay? And you can see it here. There is no real trend. It's flat, and the lines are just crossing over each other. Your strategy will probably produce lots of false signals and lots of losses because of commission. So again, you'll lose there, you lose there, you lose there, you lose there. It's lost there, and then it goes back into some kind of trend. So again, that's why the on-bar close would be useful, because an on-bar close, it won't actually do it until the bar's been formed. So you might get losses, but you won't get so much. I mean, that's where it comes in useful sometimes. But then you can add an additional logic to say, okay, this is one other thing you can do. If you do get that, I think you don't, see if you have a look on bar close, you don't get as many repetitive small losses now. I think you might, yeah, it's avoided, just the on-bar close has avoided all of those kind of little repetitive crosses. So that's very useful, but what you can also do is to say the distance between SMA1 and SMA2 has to be so much. I mean, and then you can change the periods to make it more smoother. There's so many things you can do to enhance this strategy. So this is just a very basic thing to show you what you can do, and you can just change the range on here. Again, if you want to optimize the parameters and you want to see the, I'll cover this later I think, you can do optimization here, and you can actually set the parameters. This is going to be a separate video to actually allow you to set your parameters to different values, and you run the optimization to see what's best. I personally am not sure about optimization 100% really, but I would definitely do a lot of research on these simple moving average, choose your time frame to suit the moving average, and just play with this and enhance it yourself. But the whole idea behind this was to show you how to build your own strategy using Visual Studio, and how to check that the logic works using cAlgo. Okay. What I would like to do really is quickly just show you, actually I won't do it now, but if you look at one of the previous videos, it shows you how to debug using this so that you can check the values coming out of the SMA. So in the other videos, if you go back to how to debug your cAlgo project using Visual Studio, it will actually show you how to go step through code like this just to check the values that are coming in on here. So you could put, say, a breakpoint there, and you can just check all the values that are coming in off the SMA and just check the logic is working correctly. Okay, what you'll be able to do, I'll put the source code on the website just below the video. I'm going to post a video in a minute, so you'll be able to access the source code, download it, and watch the video, and together you should be able to help you in creating your own strategies and getting started. Okay, thank you.